Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be starting to load for 30-06 in the M1 Garand. I started filming this video several weeks ago, the day that this M1 first came in the mail from the CMP. Since then, I have learned quite a lot about it, but in this video, you're going to see me fairly ignorant on site graduations, loading an N-block clip, that sort of thing. Since then, I have picked up this book, The Essential M1 Garand by Jim Thompson. There are two of his books combined into this one here, and there's some really good information in there for anybody that owns an M1 or is interested in their history and the collectible and loading side of things. That is an excellent book. There are some loads in this book that I will be working directly off of later on in the series on the M1 Garand. Today we're just trying to get some initial groups, check for function, that sort of thing. I am not going to talk about everything today that goes into carrying maintenance of an M1 Garand. If you get one from the CMP, chances are it will be greased. That is the proper way to lubricate an M1, and again, there's a lot of stuff in this book about that. Whatever you do, do not strip off the grease and replace it with oil. Like I said, I'm not going to go over every detail, but that is one that I will mention quickly here. So, without further ado, let's jump down to the reloading bench and start loading for this thing.
Today, I want to start a new series loading for my Milsurp rifles. And by the title of the video, of course, and the M-block clips you see sitting here, you can tell we're going to be loading for the M1 Garand. Now, I just received this rifle from the CMP today, actually, and I don't have any ammo for it, so that is why we're starting with the M1. I do have some 30-06 brass prepped here. We've got Remington Peters brass. This is once fired stuff. It's the same batch of brass that I used for loading up 30-06 for my friend's bolt action 180 grain interlock load. I'm not sure if I did a video on that or not. But anyway, I ordered extra brass when I did that load because I knew that I would be getting a 30-06 of some point in the future. So I've got 150 pieces, something like that, of this. But right now I've got 24 prepped and ready to go. 24, of course, because we are going in multiples of 8 with the M1. This brass has been annealed, full-length resized, trimmed, chamfered, and deburred, and then tumbled. So it is all ready to go. Components for today: CCI number 34 primer. I'm going to start out using Varget, and I'll probably shoot a group with BLC2 as well. And the bullet will be, let me get it out here. The bullet will be the 168 grain boat tail hollow point match bullet from Hornady. And I've got a big box of these. They're the same ones that I shoot in my 308. They're the same ones I shot in 30-06 out to 600 yards with the Ruger American sometime last year, I think. These are pretty decent bullets, and they shot really well. They've shot really well for me in the past. So that's what we'll use. I also do have some 168 grain ELDs. If for whatever reason these don't shoot, I might try the ELDs. First, let me get this out of the way and get the brass primed up. I finally have a new priming tool. This also just came in the mail today. Let's see how... Yeah, I think that's going to work out pretty well. I've got the RCBS Universal Hand Priming Tool. I'm really excited to have this because the Hornady hand priming tool that I've been using forever, I'm sure you've heard me complain about it on just about every video I've used it in. It's a piece of junk. So I'm going to try this thing out today and see if it works better. Right off the bat, it's got a few things that I'm a little bit skeptical about. The tray top locks into place using a peg that kind of goes in the bottom, and it snaps out kind of coarsely. And I'm worried about that peg breaking. Also, I'm worried about the primers flipping over the wrong direction when I snap this in the top. But we'll see. I haven't used it before, so that will be something to try. One thing right away I like about this tray already is that it is fairly large, and the Hornady tray that I had been using fits the CCI primer boxes just fine, but it doesn't, you can't set the Federal trays down in it at all. So I've got a few more primers than I need here of the CCI 34s, but that's okay. I'll just get those flipped over. There. And let's see how this pops on. Well, none of them flipped. They look pretty darn good. And this does have a primer shutoff, which is kind of nice. All right, I think I'm going to try this with my right hand first. Slip that in, turn the primers on. All right, there's one in there. And give it a try. Okay, that feels really nice. Really nice. Primer is seated just below flush. I had good leverage on that. All right. And it feels really consistent. Good deal. All right, I'm gonna run through and get this all primed. And then we will move on to powder. One thing I'm finding already, that putting it in and out, it's a lot easier to give it a little twist as it goes in, and then to kind of push it against one of them and give a little twist on the way out. I thought I was going to be a little bit annoyed with that at first, but as long as I give it a twist, it seems to pop in and out nice and smoothly. Oh, that piece of brass is Federal. I'm going to set that one aside. I'm sure it's fine, but you know what? I'll go ahead and leave that one in. This is just going to be the function test group in the first little bit. I'll set it aside so I know which one it is, though. This is some once fired brass. I think I got it from Capital Cartridge, and they were running a really good deal. I think I paid 27 bucks a hundred for it or something like that. I looked on there the other day and the price was about double that. Kind of wish I would have ordered more at the time, but that's okay. I like this too because getting it in those clips seems to center it really well over that primer ram. All right, that should be 24 pieces primed up there. I'll set that aside, and I'll make sure that this Federal one is the first cartridge. And we'll get to some powder. Load data for today. For this first set of 8 cartridges just to function test, I'm going to use 45 grains of Varget. Let me set the BLC2 aside and off the table. This is well under max in the Hornady book, and it's a grain to a grain and a half under what folks are saying they're running with 168s, at least on the CMP form. So we're going to go with that 45 grains of Varget. And since I'm using Varget a little bit more today, I will go ahead and dump it in the powder hopper here in the RCBS ChargeMaster link. This thing's pretty easy to clean out anyway, so that will just make it easy. You didn't see that. I'll get some of this stuff out of the way here. I already do have the 30-06 seating die in the press. Scale's been warming up for probably about an hour now. And it's been calibrated. Go 45 grains. Charger up. Alright, that does seem like a pretty light charge. And case fills down around this area. It might be up as far as that high. Anyway, should be a nice light charge to start out with. Other powders that I may test, IMR 4064, that one's on the top of my list. And, IMR 4895 is another one. I've got lots of different powder options that'll work in the Garand. All right, let's jump over to the seating die while our powder's weighing out here and seat some bullets. Nothing too complicated here. Just the regular old process, adjusting the bullet seating depth. We're going for 3.240 for the overall length. 3.257, getting pretty close. Some folks say that they load this bullet or similar bullets out to 3.3. We're just gonna go ahead and stick to the book. Okay, I got 3.248 on here. So we'll go ahead and seat the next one. With a 30-06, the bullet does go up into that seating die before it's seated, so you kind of have to tip it up in there. And I'll get a cartridge-based ogive number on these as well. 3.249, pretty consistent there. Let me take it down just a little bit. Two, 4, 3. 3.241. I'll seat this first one again. 3.241 on that one as well. I'm just going to leave it right there. Tell you what, these ogives seem a little more consistent than the last batch of these bullets that I had. 3.240 on that one, right on the money. There is no way that I could get a double charge in these cases with this volume. It would be overflowing. That's the case with most rifle charges. Now, if you're just starting in reloading, you're probably seeing what I'm doing here, weighing the charges and seating bullets kind of at the same time. That's not great for super precision on a powder thrower like this, because you can mess it up by knocking around the bench. I'm not super worried about ultra precision right now. It can also induce some tendency to accidentally seat a bullet on an empty cartridge. I am visually inspecting for powder before I put the bullet on it, and with as much room as we have in the case, you can hear it shaking around. So, best practice? Probably not, but all right, that is 8 cartridges. Let's throw them in a clip here. And I will admit to not having done this for a very long time. So I don't know the easiest way to go about this. Okay, there's 7 cartridges in the clip. There's the 8th, if I can get it seated. Alright, I'm going to have to look up a method for loading these. What I'm doing here doesn't seem the most efficient. There, I think I've got all 8 loaded in the clip there and in place. So, let's get out to the range and see how these will shoot.
Quick note here, I have since figured out a better way to load the N-Block clip, and it seems to be the way that a lot of other folks on YouTube do it. I'm going to put a link down in the description to a succinct video that shows a good way to load the M-Block clip if you haven't done that before.
Alright folks, before we start shooting, I thought I should take a minute and show you the rifle itself. This is my M1 Garand, and like I said, I just received it today in the mail from the CMP. Now this is the CMP Expert Grade, and it's got an H&R receiver. The trigger pack is Springfield, and it's the stamped one. And it's got a new barrel and a new production stock. I think they use stocks made by Boyd's. In fact, at some point I will pop this top handguard off and it should be marked under there. You can see the wood does look a little bit different from the front handguard to the rest of the stock, but it is a beautiful rifle. So like I said, not exactly milsurp in the whole rifle, but the receiver itself and the op rod and trigger group and all that are milsurp. I will at some point, I think, apply some tung oil to this wood. It is bare wood at this point. It doesn't seem like it's got a finish on it at all. And if it does, it's just a very light finish or a stain. So this will be getting some oil at some point. But for now, we're going to shoot it and see how it works. It does seem to be pretty well greased up from the CMP. I've got the rear sight dialed all the way down here, and we're shooting at 50 yards. If for some reason the groups that I get today aren't great, I'm not going to blame the gun at all. I have not shot iron sights regularly in quite a while, on a rifle anyway, and I need to get re-practiced up and reused to iron sights. I used to do quite a bit of shooting with aperture sights similar to this, but it's been quite a long time. I'm going to throw my earplugs in here. I do plan to get a sling and shoot this with a sling, but I don't have one at the moment. Let's get this thing loaded up. There it goes. I haven't shot a Garand since, well, it's been quite a while. My dad has one. It is an actual milsurp service grade, I think is what he's got. And I shot that a long time ago, and I haven't shot one since, so we'll see how I do. I'm gonna put my hand between the gun and the rest here and see how she works. Take probably the first 2 or 3 shots and then go check the target. Oh, I should mention, I did say this is a brand new barrel. I have run a dry patch through. It came out with just a tiny bit of carbon on it. Other than that, the bore looks pristine. I have not looked down it with a bore scope or anything like that. Oh, the recoil on that is so nice and light. Bolt's closed. Let's see if it cycled one in. You know what? I should probably take a look at that brass first. I don't really have a concern about it, but I should take a look anyway. It is certainly hot. See, we got a kind of a dinged up mouth there, but nothing ugly on the back end. Nope, I'd say it looks good. We'll keep shooting. All right, I'm gonna go take a look at that target and see if I'm actually on paper. Seems to be cycling great. All right, not too bad. 2 shots right next to each other and one just a little bit outside of that, but I am about 4 inches to the left. So I'm gonna make a sight adjustment here. I'm gonna go 2 clicks and see what that looks like. I have not actually done my homework and looked to see what these sight adjustments are. I'll take 2 more shots and then go check again. You gotta love that. The feel of it is so sweet. The elevation is perfect, and that 2 clicks moved me about 2 inches at 50 yards. So I'm gonna go 2 more clicks. And I should have 3 shots left in here till that lovely sound at the end. I should print out a different type of target. I've got about a 2-inch red square to look at. And it's a little hard to see. There it is, landed right on my hat. It is creasing. Yeah, that's hot. The mouth of the case, pretty good there. I hope I'll be able to get a couple of reloads out of this brass. But if it keeps creasing the mouth like that, we may end up with split necks after a load or 2. All right, let's run down and check that target. For whatever reason, I'm having trouble seeing that orange square from clear back there. The first 3 shots were there, there, and there. The next 2 shots were here and here. And then this is the last 3. Not sure how I strung them that far, but yeah, pretty terrible shooting on my part, since we're only at 50 yards, but that's a good place to start out with. We're hitting paper, not too far off the center. I do need to get probably a better target to look at and some better lighting. And we'll probably try this again in a little while. For now, let's get down to the bench and we'll load up a couple more test loads. All right, folks, you can see here the brass, the heads, case heads, all look just fine, but the mouths are smashed on all of them. Pretty badly on 7 out of the 8 of them. So that'll be something we are watching for. I did go ahead and load up 8 more rounds with the 45 grain charge of Varget, and I've also got 8 rounds loaded up here with a 46 grain charge of BLC2. That is right in the same ballpark. Looks like velocity-wise as the 45 grains of Varget. I do, however, have 1 round loaded up with 45 grains of the BLC2 just to test first and make sure that it's okay before shooting the 46 grain charge. So I'm going to go get some different targets printed out, and then we will get out to the range and shoot these. It'll probably be either later this evening or possibly even tomorrow by the time I get a chance to shoot these. Alright folks, I apologize for the hazy appearance and for not having a target camera up. I'm not entirely sure where this gun is hitting at the moment, so I'm not going to risk having a target camera down there and hitting. It is about 100% humidity and I cannot get the camera lens to keep fogging over, so we're just going to film this as is and see how it goes.
First is going to be the load with the Varget. The light is pretty low. I'm going to have to get this gun out on the 100 or the 50-yard range at the actual shooting range, because it's going to be very hard to see the target pretty much any way the sun is here, just because of how it filters through the trees and how the shadows are and all that. So I'm just going to give it a try. If I can't see good enough to do anything, you know what, I think I can. I've got a little different target out there, so we're going to give it a try. The gun is sweating like crazy. Alright, I'm going to go see if those are decently on target. They're on the paper. The group is terrible, but they're on the paper. And I really wanted to shoot this gun tonight, so we may have to repeat this at the 100-yard range, but we'll see. My shoulder is a bit sore. Shot a vintage sniper match today, and beat it up just a little bit. Yeah, it's just getting too dark to see squat. I'm kind of aiming for the paper. Alright. That's actually not terrible. My aim point was kind of this blob, which is about all I could see, and I was trying to hold somewhere about there. So most of the shots actually went in right there. My first 3 shots were here, here, and here. So I wasn't happy at all with that. But that's actually not too bad. 2.5 inches at 50 yards, barely able to see my aim point. I'm not too upset about that. Let's switch out and shoot the BLC too. So this is kind of a crazy scheme, but I remember as a teenager I did this with a muzzleloader a couple of times, and it worked really well, so let me show you what I'm doing. So you can probably see down there at 50 yards, that target board looks super bright. Well, I've got a flashlight down there pointing at the target, and everything around me is dimmer. I'm hoping that'll let me see the target a little bit better. Oh yeah, that's way better. So if my group is better this time, it's not necessarily the ammo, it's very possibly how well I can see the target. But we'll just check and see how it does. This is BLC 2. All right. Man, it's a fun gun to shoot. Holy heck. I'm not going to be too upset about that at all, especially as poorly as I was holding. I was trying to hold, again, right there, hit right there, another 2.5 inch group, but that's all 8 shots into 2.5 inches, with most of them in 1 inch to 1.5 inches. I'm liking that so far. Alright folks, so I'm having a ton of fun with this gun, and I think I am going to have to load up some more ammo and get it out to the 100-yard range. With it doing that good, I think it's definitely ready. For now, that is pretty darn decent, and I'm really looking forward to see what this thing can do. Alright guys, this video is about 27 minutes long at this point, and that is long enough for one video. So, we're going to cut it right here, and come back in the next video shooting at 100 yards with a few different loads. So, thank y'all for watching, and have a good one.